Yo, what it do, what it do? Another episode of the Rap or Cap podcast. I'm your host, Mike, the young OG. We about to get it live and popping in this thing. Man, I don't have no announcements for y'all today. I'm just so excited to talk about what we're about to talk about. I'm always super excited. Like I always be saying, like I'm excited to talk about you, but really, like I be so excited coming on the mic because I got something to say. I got some positive stuff to tell y'all. I got some healthy conversation to hold with y'all, and I just really enjoy even though I'm not really talking to y'all, but like talking to y'all, like, you know what I'm saying, like just allowing, you know what I'm saying, people to have their own point of view, allowing for sessions like this to be therapeutic and not for it to be somebody screaming and yelling at you, even though I might get animated a little bit. Or for somebody to just be cool, cat rapping all nice and smooth and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to have a combination of both and to kind of, you know what I'm saying, let it all out. And, like, just to kind of get y'all feedback and input on it. You know, it just makes me happy. Like, this, I could do this for the rest of my life and be okay with it. So, without further ado, of course, like I always say, I just want to jump right into this thing. Topic of the day that we're going to talk about is asking questions for clarity. And man, like I did a poll. I don't know if y'all remember, but I did a poll whether it was this one, this topic, or something else. Y'all chose the other one, but due to my homie Brian, shout out to B, you know what I'm saying, holding it down, we gonna talk about this. And I've already recorded the other topic too, but you know, for purposes of how I kind of felt the podcast was flowing and stuff like that, I feel like this was the right episode to drop at the right time. So asking questions for clarity, like, man, that is like that's one of the biggest dilemmas, stigmas, like that we have, not even just in the black community, not even in just a certain race, but in humanity. Like, nobody wants to ask questions because they're afraid of the answer, or they don't know what they're gonna get. But I don't even want to, you know what I'm saying, get ahead of myself. So like I said, like, let's just jump right into this thing. So I want to be politically correct. So if any of y'all is just like, that's not even a definition, or what are you talking about, like, I gotta break it down to y'all. So for the first thing that I want to talk about is just basically, what is a question? So the definition of a question is a sentence worded or expressed so as to elicit info. So the definition of clarity, there's two of them that I found that I thought that really spoke volumes. And one of them is the quality of being coherent and intelligible. And then the second one is the quality of being certain or definite. So, you know what I'm saying, when you ask questions, you can get clarity. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Those two, that's why I picked those two to really, you know, emphasize definition, because they work together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ask questions to get info, and that info gives you clarity. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see how we flowing already? So, alright, so the point of a question, like I said, is to gain clarity. And so what I always refer to, and whether or not you're spiritual or not, this, I think this hits all generations, is and all religions, and anybody who believes in whatever, and all thy getting, get the understanding. You know what I'm saying? So, because how would you like it if you ordered a bookshelf that you had to put together and you ain't have no type of instructions? Like, you supposed to just free it. So, like, you know, I mean, not free it, but you know what I'm saying, you supposed to like improv it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you over here got the little screws and the part where the big screws go, and now if you can even put it together, your bookshelf looking kind of weak, like it's leaning a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like these questions and clarity work together. Like, they're not one and the same, but you can't have one without the other, and you have to use one to get the other one. You know what I'm saying? So being able to listen, then hear, then comprehend, that's understanding. And through getting understanding, it provides you clarity, because once you understand and once you comprehend what somebody is saying, therefore it's more, it enables you to get clarity. Like, it allows you to get clarity. Like, oh, okay, this is what they're talking about. And it allows for better understanding and better communication between you and that person, just by getting clarity, so you can do exactly what they want. And they can get exactly what they want. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody likes to go to fast food places and they're like, oh, like let me get a number 2 with some mac sauce. Like shout out to Nikki, but let me get a number 2 with some mac sauce. Like, and they come out with a number 3 and a hot dog. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants that. Like nobody wants that. So clarity is only gained by asking questions. And so a part of like gathering knowledge, like you can have all this knowledge that you've gathered, but you have no clarity because nobody's there for you to put it into perspective, or you're not asking questions to put information and knowledge into perspective. And knowledge is power, but clarity is key. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't have all this knowledge in the world, but you don't know how to put it together. It makes no sense. It's really useless because you don't know how to deploy that knowledge into channels that help funnel you into the right direction, because you don't have clarity. You don't know where you're going. You're just all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So why do we get so uncomfortable when people ask questions? Like, or why do we even get so comfortable asking questions? And the answer is simply because people make it uncomfortable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even I'm guilty of this, and I'm human. So, you know, I'm guilty of a lot of things. But this happens to be one of the things that I'm guilty of sometimes. You know, some people, I'm very sarcastic. I am not going to say some people. I'm very sarcastic. So, I come from a family, on my mom's side at least, everybody on their side of the family is witty. They're quick with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can roast somebody if you want to. Like, just know they're coming back with it. And it's like, we got comebacks on layaway. Like, we got comebacks on standby. Like, just in case, like, you want to go there with us. Like, that's my side of the family. Like, you know what I'm saying? And my dad's side, they're very, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, intentional, sharp, intelligent. Like, both my sides are. But my mom's family is known for being witty. So that's where I get it from. For everybody out there that's like, yeah, like, that's Mike. Always got something to say. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I started the podcast. Feel me? Like, yeah. So, yeah, when we get so uncomfortable asking questions because there's always someone out there like, duh, or, oh, so you don't know this, or, oh yeah, no, I was just talking like this, like, you know, just saying stuff to kind of, you know, undermine, or like, you know what I'm saying, patronize, or, you know, like, just make you feel stupid for asking a question. And that's honestly why people don't want to ask questions. They just, you know what I'm saying, want to, you know, take what they think that it is and jump ahead. And that's really, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, y'all, but that's really a problem in humanity, is that we're so afraid of rejection. And that's exactly what it is. Whenever we really sit down and think about why you're not asking questions, we're afraid of that rejection. Like, okay, what if I do ask a question that they think is dumb? Are they going to reject me and be like, that's stupid? Like, that's obvious. Like, you don't have common sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's common sense is not common sense. And even if it is, everybody ain't got it. You know what I'm saying? Some people got a couple screws missing. And, you know, we all have those off days, and some people have them more than others. So, you know what I'm saying? You always want to give that grace. You always want to give that patience to people when they're asking questions. Just so, you know what I'm saying, they'll be your time will come. Like, that day will come when you need that same grace and that same patience, when you need clarity on something and you have questions on something. You're like, it might be obvious, but I just need that confirmation. Like, confirmation is key to clarity, because without it, like, it's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm moving blindly here. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. So if we learn that questions are more ways to get affirmation for what we heard, we will be more open to asking and answering questions. And that's really all what asking question is. We're getting affirmation, we're getting confirmation, like either one, or we're getting both of them. It's like, yeah, like I'm just asking because I need to know, like, is this what you want? Or I need to know because I need to know how to move or how to make my decision or what to do. Like, it's literally just a sense of direction. And we as human beings have to understand that we are designed to have direction. So when another human seeks direction from another human, we're inclined to do that for that person. Just give them the clarity that they need. Even if you said it 100 times, it's important that you break it down and you really give them the answer that they're looking for, or at least close to it, because otherwise you're just giving them a bunch of knowledge. You're feeding a bunch of knowledge. It's like me being in college. I had a professor, information heavy, all he would do was flood us with information. He's so smart, but he didn't know how to deploy those skills. Even though he was very detailed, he didn't know how to deploy those skills into making sure we got clarity. He just assumed, which is where I'm going with this. He assumed that just because he was detailed and very intelligent and he spoke with eloquence and that he was very direct, straight to the point, that everybody comprehended that. And he just assumed that all of us kind of understood and had clarity on what to do and what the definition was, how to handle this situation and that, when that wasn't the case. And because if that was the case, everybody would not pass his class with A's. So just using that as an example, why is this so important? And like I said, without clarity, we assume. And I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, before I get ahead of myself, because I'm so hyped right now to talk about this, because I feel like it's so healthy to have these type of conversations, I want to give you all the definition of assume. And it's a verb, which just means it's an action word. So it means to suppose to be the case without proof. To suppose to be the case without proof. The second one I found was to take or begin to have power or responsibility. Another version of it is to seize power or control. Another one, take on a specified quality, appearance, or an extent. And then the last one that I found that I saw very interesting was to take on or adopt a manner or identity, sometimes falsely. So, I mean, genuinely, I want to keep this podcast very clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, and don't for all y'all people that's in your flesh and for all y'all that's in your feelings, like, oh my God, like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I say this, don't take this the wrong way. So, you know what I'm saying? When I look at the word assume, I looked at this word when I was about 19 years old, 19 or 20 years old. And I really like looked at it because I find assuming things to be one of my pet peeves and I can't stand it. So, and I ask a lot of questions, and I know some of y'all are like rolling your eyes like, yeah, you ask too many questions, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's for my clarity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whether you provide it or not is upon you, but it's for me why I ask questions. So I broke the word assume down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in the first 3 letters of assume are ASS. ASS. So, there's this old folks saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know they used to say it back in the day. It's like, when you assume, you make an ass out of me and you. That's kind of what I see assuming as. So you are gonna assume, and let's say you're a person who makes very good assumptions. Cool. That one time you don't, you make a ASS out of yourself. That's what you're doing when you assume. Like, you're out here making a fool out of yourself because you don't have clarity. What if the information that you have that person gave you, what if you perceived it in a different way than it was supposed to be intended? Now you out here and you done did some elaborate thing, some elaborate scheme, and then lo and behold, boom, that ain't even what you're supposed to be doing. You look crazy. Or whether or not you just assume someone's reaction and you like, they gonna react like this, like this and this and this, like, I know they gonna be on my side. And so you just assume and you like, yeah, man, I told Jerry and Jerry was all with it. And then Jerry come back and he like, nah, bro, you tripping. Like, I ain't agreeing with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why it's so important to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Jerry, what you think about this? Like, you know what I'm saying? For clarity. Otherwise, you just have information. Like, and in that situation, let me go ahead and elaborate. In that situation, like, you ask Jerry, like, hey, bro, like, how do you feel about this and this and this? You might know Jerry like the back of your hand, but you don't necessarily know his reaction 100%. Because if you did, y'all would be twins. Y'all be Jesus. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't have to ask questions because you already know. Like, and anyways, like, but nobody always knows what the other person is going to say or how they're going to react. Like, you might have a really good idea, but you don't really know. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to y'all is assuming it's not the right way to go. Even if the instructions, or even if the information that you have with yourself or that you've been given is assumption worthy, it's still okay, and it's still great to go back and get that 100% confirmation so that you're 100% confident in doing whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, or saying whatever it is you're supposed to be saying, or whatever the case may be. Like, you always want to have confidence and confirmation and affirmation. Like, you know what I'm saying? You want to be affirmed. Like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what they asked for. You want to confirm it. Like, yeah, yes, this is it. Like, confirming is like, yes. Affirmation is like, yes, this is what I wanted. Thank you very much. Like, that's affirmation. And then confidence is, yeah, like, they told me they wanted it like this way, and that's how I did it. Like, I'm confident that I'm going to do it this way because that's the way they told me to do it when I asked them how they wanted me to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said before, into perceptions, assuming can lead into false perceptions. So instead of getting the truth, you create your own understanding. And that's dangerous, because if somebody says, okay, cool, like, I don't like it whenever you do this and this and this, and you take that as, oh, okay, like, maybe they just mean when they're mad. Like, I don't like it when you talk with your hands. And it's like, okay, like, you was just saying that because we was both upset, so it seemed like I'm over here like throwing gang signs up at you or trying to threaten you or something like that. Cool, won't do it. But then that person goes and he talking with his hands and all this, like, all in her face or all in his face or whatever. And they're like, yo, I just told you I didn't like when you talk with your hands. And he like, oh, I thought you meant just in that situation. Like, nah, I meant all together. I don't like you talking with your hands. See, and that's maybe not the best example, but I'm off the top of the dome right now. So that goes two ways, and where it's like, okay, like, you didn't clarify whether or not you liked me talking with my hands in general, or whether or not you didn't like me talking with my hands when we're arguing. So it's important for you whenever we're having these conversations with people, and whether or not there's conflict involved, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's take out the trash, you know what I'm saying? Like, it may seem funny because everybody knows what take out the trash means. But, you know, not even to be like, you know, a jerk or not to be smart, you know, you just ask like, oh, would you like me to take the trash out now? Or do I have a couple minutes to, you know, get myself together? You know, sometimes my dukes might be like, yeah, I want you to take it out now. I'm like, all right, cool. Bet. I don't really want to do it now, but I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I got that clarity. Like, she didn't just provide me knowledge, and I was like, all right, I'm going to take it out when I want to. And she's like, I asked you to take the trash out and it's still here. And I'm like, oh, I thought you meant, you know, just take it out whenever. Like, no, I'm in it now. So that's important. And so it's always important to get someone else's truth. And I know, you know what I'm saying, people are like, there's only one truth, but everybody has their own truth. Whatever is true to them is true to them, and nobody in here or in the world can judge them for it, because that's what's true to them and that's what they know. So it's always important to get that truth and to create and to get that understanding and that confirmation, and not create your own understanding, because the more you create your understanding, the more it's going to be true to you. And therefore that's where the conflict comes in, because it's like, this is what you said, so this is what you meant. And it's like, you don't know what I meant because you didn't ask questions for clarity. All you did was, oh, I assume because you said it like this, and when I say it like this, and that's our problem. When I say it like this, you ain't everybody else. You got to separate your understanding from everybody else, because we were all created different. There's people that I'm like, hey, yo, we're the same model, we just wired different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's everybody in the world. We might be different models, but wired the same, but that don't mean we're the same person. You know what I'm saying? And whenever you do get those, we create that false, or not false, but when you create your own understanding, it leads to a reality of miscommunication. Because now I asked you to do something, or I said something to you, and you didn't ask for clarity. Even if I did give it in a detailed sense of what I thought, you didn't ask for clarity. You come and bring me back, or you come and say something back to me that I didn't like or I didn't appreciate. And now we have a miscommunication, and now we're in conflict and we're butting heads because it's like, this is not what I asked for. This is not what I said to do. And that person's like, well, this is how I took it. And it's like, but you took it that way. Like, that's not how I meant it. Well, well, you said it like this, so you just need to do a better job of communicating. And it's like, well, you didn't ask, so you need to do a better job of asking questions. And that's where, you know what I'm saying, a lot of conflict comes in, because it's like, all right, like, it's on both people to kind of, you know, figure that out and maneuver. You know what I'm saying? It's not up on just one person to just sit back and be like, all right, I'm going to provide you all the information and all the details, and I'm going to overload you, and boom. That way you can't never say I ain't detailed. You know what I'm saying? Like, questions are necessary no matter how detailed you are as a person. And I find myself to be one of the most detailed people that I know in life. And I know a lot of people, for all you smart Alex out there. So even in situations that I find, you know, I'm just like, dang, like, I told you I wanted this. And they're like, no, like, I thought you meant this because, you know what I'm saying, you don't really. And I'm like, well, why don't you ask me if you know I don't really like this? Like, why don't you ask me just to get clarity? And they're like, I just assumed this and this and this. Like, assuming is just not a safe bet. You know what I'm saying? Asking questions is always it's always a safe bet, because the worst thing that could happen is somebody confirm what you already know. Think about that. Really sit there and think about that. The worst thing that could happen is someone can confirm what you already know. So when it comes to confirming what you already know, now your perception of what you think it is correct. And your perception, the definition of it is just the ability to see, hear, or become of something through the senses. It's the state or the process of becoming aware of something through the senses. It's like intuitive understanding and insight, in a sense. And another definition I saw was a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something in a mental impression. So sometimes it is implied that you need to assume, but it's still imperative that you ask questions. Because even if it's implied that you assume, why not ask questions anyway? If I go in the ring with somebody, if I'm boxing, if I go in the ring with somebody and I'm asking my trainer questions like, when he throws the jab and he slips the right hook, or he slips this or he slips that, do I throw a counter, or is he off balance when he throws it? Like, what's going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? Even if you see that he's off balance, it's important to still ask those questions, because you get clarity, you get confidence. Because who wants to go in, you know what I'm saying, oh, he's off balance, let me go in for the kill shot, and you get knocked out just because you're not asking, like, what's his tendencies? Like, does he throw himself all balance to get me all balance so he can knock me out? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's important to ask those questions, to get that knowledge and that clarity from whoever. So it's like, all right, cool, like, I'm on my toes, and whatever decision I make is a safe bet, because I've been trained and I've been proven in this area. Like, I know this, I'm confident in this area, I should say. I know this is what to do, because I got the clarity for it, I got the understanding for it, I got the comprehension for it, I got the affirmation for it. Like, that's just a different type of confidence. If I could go into a fight 100% confident versus 120% confident, I'm going to take the 120%. A lot of people are like, well, it's 100%. Like, what? How can you go wrong with 100%? Because there's always a higher percent to go to. If 100% was the max, there wouldn't be 1,000%. There wouldn't be 2,000%. There wouldn't be 10,000%. You feel me? So, an example of, like, you know what I'm saying, like, sometimes if it being implied for you to assume is, you know, when your mom says, like, the dish has been in the sink since Friday and it's Sunday. So you already know off rip when you analyze the situation, like, okay, I know mom wants me to do the dishes. I know she wants me to do the dishes. because of the words she used and the way that she phrased it. You perceive she wants you to do the dishes because of how she implied and how she said her message. But oftentimes it's not that simple, because we as humans have wants and needs that are not so easily communicated by words. We have things we received our whole life that we didn't ask for, but we expect. So another example is common sense in a relationship. Telling your significant other about your whereabouts may be common sense to you, but to them, they're like, yo, all my relationships, you know what I'm saying? We just do what we do, you know what I'm saying? And then, when I want to see them, or if I'm just curious, I'd be like, oh yeah, where you at? And they're like, oh, I'm at the store getting some groceries. Like, you know what I'm saying? But common sense to everyone ain't the same common sense to everybody else. So you always have to ask questions. And I'm going to get into that too. That's a podcast coming soon, by the way. Common sense in a relationship, because I definitely want to dive into that. But back on track. It's just important for you to ask questions as a human being, and as a significant other, as a friend, as a father, as a mother, as a son, as a daughter, cousin, uncle, mama, grandmama, all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Godparent. It's important for you to ask questions so that you can get that clarity. Like, the clarity is for you. It's not for and that's what people who don't like to be asked questions have to understand. Clarity is not for you, it's for the other person. The questions that they're asking are to suit you. They're to better understand you. If you tell somebody actually that you don't like something, and they ask you like, "Oh, why don't you like it?" Okay, when do you prefer me not to do it? Like, is this an altogether thing, or is this like just in these situations? Like, that's important, because what if somebody's like, I don't like the way that you're just so impulsive. And they're like, dang, all right, cool. Like, I ain't gonna be impulsive. I'm gonna work on self-control. And then they work on self-control, and they're like, why are you always so calculated? And it's like, well, you ain't want me to be like impulsive. I'm like, no, I don't want you to be impulsive when it comes to arguing. I want you to be calculated. Like, it's like, what? Like, what do you want from me? Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's important to know. Like, it's like, hey, I like impulse. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you just had an urge to give me a kiss, give me a kiss. If you just got the urge to go out and buy me flowers, go buy me flowers. But when we're in an argument, if you got the urge to just say something crazy out your mouth, have some self-control. So you can still be impulsive and still have self-discipline is my point. And that's the key in everything in life. It's just to find a balance, like knowing when to ask those questions, and when you know somebody, you may not have to ask as many questions, but it could be a certain topic, and you could know somebody like the back of your hand, but you just like, I don't really know how they would feel about this, because I feel like they would feel this way, but I'm not 100% sure. And that's the time to ask questions. Like, you just need to know when those times are to ask questions, but never be scared to ask questions to get affirmation. Even if you may already know the answer, like, I'm 99% sure, I'm just asking this for the 1% possibility that I'm wrong. It's still important and imperative that you get that, because that's for you, and you want to be confident in everything you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's important to ask even when no information is given, because, I mean, like I said, like, who really wants to, dang, I just lost my train of thought. Who really wants to go into something without information? So when you ask questions, you get information. Like, it's a give and take thing. Like, I'm asking a question, and you're giving me, I'm giving you a question, you're giving me clarity. I'm taking clarity, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's give and take. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not necessarily always mutual, but it's mutual in the end. Like, the questions, they may ask you 100 questions for you to get one result, but guess what? You got something back in return, and they got the clarity they needed to serve your purpose, or to serve you the best way that they could do it, and the way that you asked them to do it. And that's really what's important for people, and what we as human beings have to realize, that, like, the more that we continue to make it hard on people who ask questions, the more we make it hard for us to get what we want. And yeah, you could definitely go out there and do it by yourself. Like, you don't need nobody to go out there and do stuff for you. But it's easier when in relationships and with people, whether it's your significant other or friends or family. It's just easier to have clarity so that somebody can serve you better. Like, it's just easier that way. And so what people don't realize is when they don't ask questions, and when you assume, and when you just create your own perception of things, you're liable for the information you have. So if you don't have clarity, you're responsible for the outcome if you don't ask. So just think about that. Like, if it goes totally south, you're responsible because you didn't ask for the information that was needed for the task. Whether or not they gave it or not, you still had the opportunity to ask for it. So now you're liable. Really sit there and think about that. You as a person, you're liable for the outcome of the information that you have in deploying it. So I like analogies. I'm really big on analogies. So Kyrie Irving, he's probably the second most skilled player behind Kobe Bryant in NBA history. But he's not a top 10 player because he has all the skills, he has all the knowledge, and he's very intelligent. I mean, he's a basketball savant, but he doesn't have the information and the clarity on how to deploy those skills because he's so skillful. The only person that could really help him and that was helping him is dead on how to deploy those skills and who actually understands what it's like to be in that position. So therefore all the warts that's on him and all the things that he has to go through and moving to Brooklyn and all this stuff and playing for the Nets now. It's like, oh, Kyrie can't lead a team, blah, 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 blah. Or Kyrie does all this ISO and da, da, da. It's like he doesn't have anybody really there guiding him and giving him clarity and understanding and affirmation and confirmation. Like, yes, this is the time to deploy this skill. This is the time to hold off on this skill and deploy that skill instead. It just becomes a disaster, and people get this false perception and this false narrative of you because you don't have clarity. And that's what happens with all our lives. When we don't have clarity in our lives, it affects people's viewpoints of us, and it makes us come off as a different type of person than what we are than when we have clarity. You know what I'm saying? When we have clarity of who we are, we're more confident. When we have clarity of our identity, we walk different, we talk different, we have purpose, we move like a certain type of way. We can maneuver better. Like, we have a better understanding of who we are. So therefore, we have a better understanding of our purpose and what to do next in life. So you're also liable if you're going to give unclear and general info, but want specific results. So it's twofold. So you have to be specific. And then as the receiver, you have to ask specific questions. So you just can't, and I'm going to get on y'all who don't like to ask questions. You just can't be like, like, I want the grass cut. And your son go out there and cut the grass. And you like, why you cut the grass like that? Like, I don't like it. I like my lanes to be even or this far apart. And it's like, well, you didn't give that information. You just asked him to go out there and cut the grass. He figured it out, or he did it the way he cuts grass, or that he was taught how to cut grass. He's like, nah, like, you ain't do it. Like, you can't be mad. Give people specific instructions, and therefore break it down for them so that they don't have to ask questions. You make their job easier so that you can have an easier job by sitting back and letting them do whatever it is you ask them to do and getting the result that you want 100% without having to go back and be like, nah, I don't like the way you did this. Like, I meant this when I said this. And they're like, oh, well, I thought you meant, like, it just saves a whole bunch of miscommunication, a whole bunch of time that we don't have. And time is the most precious gift that God has given us. And we can't get that back. So save your time and just be specific, and save your time and just ask questions. Work together as one. Even if you're not in a relationship with somebody, as friends, it's just imperative that you ask questions so that you can provide that clarity. And it's a certain satisfaction that you get as a person when you've done something and for the other person, and you know it's exactly the way that they want it, and you just like, yeah, I did that. Like, yeah. Whereas you like, man, I hope they like this. And you're like, oh, I like it. I just want you. And you know how people are like, oh yeah, like just tell me if there's anything I could change, I'll change it. It's like, I really want you to tweak this, but I like this and I don't like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It saves all that. You know what I'm saying? If you're just asking questions, like even asking questions as you're doing it, it just makes the process a whole lot easier. And not even saying that the product will come out 100% right, but you're more likely to have a better suitable product for that person, whether it be a product, a service, an act, or words. Like you're more probable to have a more suitable outcome and a better outcome if you just ask questions and when you provide specific instructions to people. You know what I'm saying? So in that, clarity brings a connection. So I know what you want and you know what I want, and I know what, and you know, vice versa. And it's like asking questions lessens the margin of error. So it's like, I know what you want, and like I know what you don't want, and therefore I can fit more in the parameters of what I know that you want because you told me what you want. And some people aren't like, I'm a creative. Like I know what I want, but I don't know exactly all the way what I want until I get it. So I'm gonna give you a general idea, and then we go, you know what I'm saying, smooth out the rough edges after that. But you have to at least lower the margins of error and narrow your parameters so that you can set yourself up for success and you can set the other person up for success. Like in terms of giving them what they want, and they can set you up for success by giving you specific instructions. So asking questions really shows that you're interested in meeting that person's needs. And that's the clarity that the person giving the instructions receive. It's like, wow, like you're affirming me that you're interested in what I want. Like you're affirming me that you care about what I want. Like I told you I didn't want you cursing at me anymore or cursing anymore. And you asked me, did that mean that you were in general? And I asked that you would not curse in general. And you've taken on that challenge and done that for me. That question of clarity was like, okay, cool. Like, all right, I just got to watch my mouth and, you know what I'm saying, not curse around her, not curse around him. And they're like, wow, like you really took the time out to like really find out like, hey, this is what I wanted. And you really care. Like you really out here like working towards that, and like providing you clarity has brought me clarity that you're somebody I want to be with. Like that could open up a whole brand new door. Like that's big for me. And the fact that you chose to do that and understand me, like that's a whole different level of intimacy. Clarity is a whole different level of intimacy. And that's all intimacy is clarity, comprehension, understanding. It's like, wow, I never knew this is what you meant, or I never knew this is what you wanted until I started asking questions about what you want. Many times we find that we don't know what people want because we don't ask them. Oh, I don't know what you wanted for dinner, so I just cooked chicken. If you would have asked me, I would have told you I wanted steak. Just saying. It works both ways. You just have to understand that. It works both ways. You need clarity and you need comprehension and understanding that yes, this person, that is an act of love. When someone chooses to ask questions, to seek clarity from you, to get understanding from you, to comprehend you, that is an act of a love. And you have to understand that's what asking questions is. It's not negative. It's not derogatory. It is an act of love, and you providing specific instructions is an act of love. It's like, hey, I want to see you win. I want to see you in the best position possible, and I want to give you the most information as possible, and I want to give you direction in how to deploy that so that you are set up in the right position to succeed. And that's what I feel like my parents have done for me. They have giving me information that I still am not able to use because I'm not in that part of life. But I know when I do get in that part of life, I'm equipped for it. I know how to deploy it because they've given me the information and they've shown me, and they're specific in how they wanted things and how they want things. So just realize that, like, when you're asking questions, like, I'm showing my act of love towards you. I don't care if you irritated or not. And as the receiver, you like, man, like, you asking questions, like, you really into what I'm saying. Like, that just shows, like, you're really, like, when somebody telling you a story and you just sitting there and you listening, like, a lot of people might take offense to that. Some people think like, wow, he's a good listener. Other people might take offense to that. But either way, asking questions kind of like, all right, like, so you saying this and this and this, like, and it kind of, it might help the other person get clarity on what they want. Like, it's twofold. Like, it all unfolds from when you start asking questions and when you start engaging in what the other person desires or what they're talking about. It has to be twofold and it has to be paired. Like, y'all both have to be into it. So don't let offense come when being asked. Asking questions is just a way of a servant. He's just meeting your needs. Let people serve you. And I don't want to go off track and go off, what I'm saying on this, but we as people, like, we have to let the people around us serve us. That's an act of love as well. Servanthood. If you don't love somebody, you don't serve them. Servanthood comes in, and servanthood comes off as being a slave or like, I'm just do everything for you. Like, no, like fixing my plate. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, way of Jesus showing servanthood was him washing the disciples' feet. The last shall be first and the first shall be last. He was making it apparent to them like, hey, we are in covenant together. We are friends, but we're in covenant together. This is bigger than us. I'm doing this to show you this is the way that I treat you is the way that you need to treat everybody else. I'm not above you. I'm not beneath you. We are on the same level, and I need to love you according to the way that I expect you to love me, and you need to love those people the way you love me and the way that I love you. That was Jesus's biggest message, was love. And that's all that asking questions and getting clarity, all that is just working in the way of love. You're meeting each other's meeting each other's needs, I should say. And those expectations that you set are only realistic when you set people up for success, or when you give them specific information, and when they ask you for specific information and for confirmation on certain things. It works both ways. So, in concluding, asking questions just bridges the gap of communication. So all those, spots where like, I think he meant this, or I think she meant this, or they didn't really tell me how they wanted this. Like, those are the times for you to ask questions. Get that clarity, get that comprehension, get that understanding. You know what I'm saying? And don't take asking questions to be just a one-time thing. Asking questions is recurrent. It happens over and over again. Like, you're going to have to ask more questions, because as you have relationships with people, as you go through life with people, and as you do even little projects, things like the depth, you can't see the depths of something just by looking at it. If people came to my house, they know how deep it is by standing on the side of it and being like, oh, it goes all this far back. You don't know how deep the house is, though, really, until you go in the house. Like, you never know we have a third floor until you come into the house, and you're like, dang, like, wow, it doesn't even look like it from the outside. So you always have to realize that, like, all right, how they're saying it is not as deep as what they're saying it, even if it is communicated, because if it's as deep as what they're saying, I don't have to ask questions. And you may not always have to ask questions, but as the plot unfolds in certain areas of your life and with certain things in your life with people and with things, it's important that you get more clarity and that you get into a deeper depth and a deeper knowledge and understanding of what that depth is. And really, that's really all I wanted to talk to y'all about today. I just really wanted to push the fact that asking questions is beneficial for both parties. Don't ever think you're not benefiting from it, because you are. Clarity is for both people. And as soon as we realize that, man, communication gets a whole lot easier and things get a whole lot smoother. So, man, it's your boy Mike, the Young OG, MIKE THE, not duh. Like, we're literate around here. Young OG, YOUNG. Yeah, Young OG on Instagram. Follow me. Follow the Twitter page. Follow the Instagram page. Rap or Cap Podcast on YouTube. Rap or Cap Podcast. Just take the T off of podcast on Twitter and put a 1 after it, and that's what our Twitter name is. Follow, like, subscribe, comment, man. Man, I appreciate y'all for listening and for tuning in. We're 5 episodes in. Hopefully we can continue to push this and I can get these episodes out quicker to y'all. But appreciate y'all, and y'all let me know, man, for real. Leave the comments and all that. Let me know if I'm rapping and capping. All right, peace.